Well, hello everyone. Hello, Brian. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, no, I'm still, as you can see, not very professional today. I'm in my sweatshirt for this important sales thing we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
It's just cold. I even turned on the heater in the office today, and the sales people are like, "What are you doing?" I'm cold, man. I was in the water this morning. It was cold, so I
Yeah.
haven't warmed up yet. The whole thing about visualization or visualizing, however you want to call it, is it kind of got me thinking about this more because I know we talked about it last week, but I really want to go more in depth because I didn't get in the pool yesterday. And I've
Right.
been listening to the Huberman podcast and they're talking about dopamine levels and everything that the ice water does increases. I'm like, I'm addicted to ice baths.
I like coffee myself, but
Well, I know I do that too. I also do a cup before I get in and then but it's funny because I can see how it just increases. You're like, wow, I'm on it. Let's go. And yesterday I wasn't so on it as I am today. But so I was like the mental part of all the stuff we talk about in sales and how you can control what you do. What it's all about you. It's your head. It's your mind.
Mhm.
And I kind of want to get in more
Right.
depth with that today. You good with that?
I'm good. Kick it
You're a
off.
little. You're a little. You're like I don't know if it's me or you, but it's probably me because you blame me for everything.
No,
Camera
it's me. I had
dropping.
my Wi-Fi on. I just turned it off.
Yeah, well, you're messing
I had
up
my
everything.
Wi-Fi turned on and I turned it off.
I don't think people understand. It's like if you have Wi-Fi and a direct connect, you can't have both. It goes between the two
Right.
of them. Fights. We should get um, Adam on to explain people how to do computers someday.
Hey, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, because I
Give
mean,
him
it's
some
a
more face time.
yeah. Because I guess he's got a good face, unlike us.
It's because he hides behind his beard.
Why are you trying to promote Steve today? I see that.
Hmm?
Turn the cup around the other way.
Oh, I always.
It
This is
has.
the same cup I always have. No, I
I
can't
know,
drink
but
with my hand this way. That
you're
just
not
feels weird.
English.
I'm a lefty when I drink.
You see, the problem is that cup was made wrong.
This is true.
It's just, most people drink in the right hand. That was made for Brits. Your screen.
Or
Yeah.
lefties. I don't know. Is Steve a lefty?
I don't know. Do I care? Do
He might.
no, I don't mean it like that. I'm just like, does it matter? I don't care if you use both hands. I don't care. It's funny how certain cups come a certain way, and I was like, this had to come from an Englishman.
Mm-hmm.
I dropped my video down. You might want to do the same if you haven't already.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing that and putting some stuff offline real fast. So
Well, you
while
should have
I'm
done that
doing it,
before we got on live, so people stopped going away. But I mean, we talked about this so much last weekend, but I still think it's so important about making sure going forward where you want to be, what do you want to do, and you need to have. Because I was talking to my wife about it, about the vision boards and all the other stuff that's out there, but there's got to be so much more. And I came across a couple studies, if you don't mind me getting a little, because I was telling you that I wanted to
hmm
get in the mental side and see if, because what I was hearing on the Hooperman podcast about how they did different studies when it comes to creatine and other things, and whatever they told the people is what they believed, whether or not they gave it to them and told them they didn't get it. That's how they performed at that level. So the mind
yeah,
controls so much, right?
yep,
All right. So there's a study by Dr. Gabriel. Wow. Can you say that last name?
nope.
Octagon. All right. They examined the
I mean, it
effectiveness
didn't.
of they looked at it on goal attainment, right? And the participants were asked to visualize desired outcomes and focus on steps to achieve their goals. And what the results showed that people who did that were more likely to achieve their goals than those who didn't. And it just demonstrated the importance of visualization and goal attainment and the potential to enhance motivation and increase success. And so one of the things I was like, I wonder if there's any of these studies. I came across 5 different studies. I just want to go through
Mhm.
them real quick and then we can go
Sure.
more in depth or move on, whatever you want to do. There was another one by Dr. Anthony Grant, um, Amy Grant's dad. I'm just kidding. The singer.
People I
Anyway,
know, people are going, who's Amy Grant?
yeah, that's old.
It's good
Examine the
80s,
impact
90s.
of,
That's a good.
you're saying?
I was saying it's good 90s reference. That's all.
Yeah, that's when you were born.
That's
Examine the
right.
impact of visualization on motivation and performance in sales, which is what we're doing. And they were asked the same thing to visualize desired outcomes and focus on step to achieve these goals. The results actually showed that it worked and increased performance in sales. So it demonstrates the potential of visualization as a tool for enhancing motivation and increasing sales success. These all have the same kind of themes, which is it works.
Yeah.
I'm going to do one more. It examined the impact of visualization on decision making and problem solving skills in sales professional. This is all set up for salespeople. They were asked to visualize scenarios and decisions based on visualization. Man, that word, I'm going to get it down before we're done here. Resulted in that an improved decision making, problem solving skills in sales professionals. Demonstrated the potential of this using as a tool for improving your decision making. And so what we're seeing the theme in all these, and maybe we don't go through all of the stuff, being all that kind of stuff. Every study showed that by utilizing visualization in whatever they did, and increase their performance, increase what they wanted to do in success, and overall, that's huge to me,
Right.
because once I know that they did studies, about these kind of things, same thing, they overcome obstacles. Each one of these were pretty much close to the same thing, and I don't want to go kill it, but basically, if you look at these studies, visualize, if you visualize in sales and use studies, and it's basically will help you enhance your motivation, improve performance, and the most important thing, success. And we're
Yep.
done. Yeah. So I know I kind of just threw a bunch of stuff in there, but this has helped me immensely. I do it all the time. I focus on where I want to go. And sometimes I don't necessarily know I'm doing that.
Hmm.
The other day I was creating some certain things for certain potential stuff that's going to happen. I didn't know it was going to happen. All of a sudden I just got bombarded by a bunch of things. And it was amazing how we talked about this last week about the secret, what you put out there, you get back,
Hmm.
but you have to also state what you really want, not just like I want $1 million.
Yeah. It would be nice if, right. You have to get specific.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's the
oh,
go ahead.
good.
No.
We were several years ago. We were featured in D Magazine, a local magazine, of how they found their dream house. And one of the things that we did was we were actually the backup owners on the house. And when they came in, they're like, "Oh, nope, it's already been accepted." And we're like, "Wait a minute, they took the first offer." So what do we do is I went into the other room and I printed up a sheet and I said, "This is what you're going to get for Valentine's Day," and that is the house. And I tacked it up. And the other things that we did is literally used to go to a co-working sharing space, whatever.
Yeah.
And instead of driving home to the townhome we were living in, I actually drove by the new house to say, "Oh, this is what it would look like to drive to my new home." And just practiced that, visualized it, and literally printed up a piece of paper and said, "Hey, we're going to get the house on Valentine's Day," because that's when the first person's what do you call it, option period
Offer.
ended.
Yeah.
Offer, yeah. And sure enough, we went in. She'd gotten us massages that day for Valentine's Day, and when we came out, they said, "Hey, you got the house if you want it." So
Wow.
it's crazy if you put it out there how often it can actually show up. So yeah, it used to be before speaking and everything else. If you Googled my name, that was the first article that came up, was how they found their dream home in D Magazine.
Now, can you raise yourself up in there? You look like my son every time we call him for some
Oh,
reason when they're on the phone. It's like the
sorry.
bottom part of the thing. It's like
I was
what?
adjusting the light and then it went down there. Yeah.
Well, I kept going back and forth. I'm trying to, utilize the new features in StreamYard. That's you can just click a button and you're the one in the screen now talking.
Right.
But it is so important to what do you want to be? What are you willing to get? It comes back to two things: visualizing what you want, and
Right.
what are you willing to do to get there or give
Right.
up to get there. And that's one of our biggest issues going forward is people are normally wanting to give up anything to get to where they want to go.
Right.
And go ahead.
Oh, I just say the funny thing is people can't relate to visualizing it except for when it comes like when they want to lose weight. People can say, "Oh, I want to weigh this," and they can name it out, right? And what are they willing to give up? Usually it's shitty food, or they're willing to add exercise, give up laziness. But it's funny because you can talk about health and people get it. You talk about anything else and people have no idea.
Right. Well, what some people have been doing, and this is what they talk about, you have to completely kill the person you are and just bear with me here for a second, and create a totally different person, your
Right.
different persona, who you want to be. Alcoholics have to do this. If
Hmm.
you're really heavy, there was an actor who was 550 pounds. I forget what movie he was in. He decided he was going to change his life. And if you read his Instagram post every day, I killed my clone today. And
Hmm.
basically, he changed his whole persona of who he is. He's not the only one. You have to change who you are. So that's what I'm talking about. What are you willing to give up? If you're saying, I am not going to be this person next week, that you're changing, and it's every day, just like the model of Alcoholics Anonymous, one day at a time, or any of that kind of stuff. That's still the model, is you have to change just one day at a time.
Have you ever read?
Remember that statement, be the one, right?
Yeah,
One, just today, be that one, and then keep doing it.
yeah. Well, there's a whole "Be the Hero of Your Own Journey," which is Joe Rogan. So he's got a short 1 minute one. He's got a 11-minute one, then like a 30-minute one, and they're all "Be the Hero of Your Own Journey." And he goes through a lot of what we're talking about today. And there's also a book on Amazon called "The Alter Ego" by Todd. Let me see the name. Todd Herman, and that's the title is "The Alter Ego Effect: Defeat the Enemy, Unlock the Heroic Self, and Start Kicking Ass." And a lot of that is about people are often stuck where they are, but if you create a new avatar of who you want to be, it's amazing who you can become.
And that's basically what I said, just but difference is a clone. And that's,
Exactly.
again, right. I'm just saying, but you have to do it. So when they say you want to lose weight, it's not like you said, I want to lose weight, I want to do this, I restrict my calories. No diet works forever.
Right.
I can tell you that. I go heavy, low, then I go light, and then I go heavy. I just one of those things. And now it's about, what am I willing to change so I don't stay with these changes in my weight. Luckily I pretty much wear the
Right.
same clothes because they're all big anyway. um right. I carry it in
Yeah.
one place, so pretty much everything still works, but it's our lifestyle. What are we doing differently to
Hmm.
make the changes? And it's same with sales and where you want to go, and positive thinking and everything else. It's just important to focus on where you want to go, put something in place, whether it's a vision board. We talked about that before, but I just kind of wanted to reiterate on this. I didn't want to go for 2 hours on this. I just wanted to look at what we talked about last week, about, from a different aspect, about how your mind is so controlling of where you're going to be. Your
Right.
mind controls it. You need to change your mind. What are you willing to do? And it's, again, I like the thing, killing my clone today. I could see that changing that.
Mhm.
And and I was talking about earlier about the dopamine levels from water baths. It's amazing how it changes you, just focusing for so many hours, and then like 6 hours later, I'm ready for my nap.
Yeah, I still need to get. Every time I hop in the shower, I'm like, oh, I'll just end it with a cold shower, and I always forget to do it. It's weird. When I was a
Don't.
kid,
It's
I
horrible.
could take cold showers, and it was not a big deal at all. Now, as an adult, that's a frightening thought. But give me an ice bath. It's funny. I got a call from one 2 days ago that was a startup. I wish I had a spot here at the townhome to do it because I'm envious that you're getting to do it. I can do the full immersion. I
Mhm.
can't do the shower part. It's just
No, the
it's
full
torture.
immersion's easier because it's your whole body and once you're in it, after you like your breathing relaxes. It's like I did it over the weekend after I took the dog for a 6 and a 7 mile run,
Mhm.
or walk, whatever you call it. We'll just say it was a runish, uh, walk fast. What a
Yeah.
difference in my knees and everything else. I know we're changing the subject, but again, it takes a lot to do this. To be able to get
Mhm.
into ice cold water and stay there, takes a lot of change in who you are. And that's why it's people like, I could never do that. Yes, you could. If you really
Yeah.
wanted to, you could. But
It's just a matter of giving it a shot. Yeah.
you're not willing to make a change. That's why you're going to be exactly where you are down the road.
Mhm.
Right. And it's back to I look at, and I'm not trying to come off wrong here, but I have my book coming out February 14th. I was in a documentary. I do radio. I do so many things that I never thought I would. And it was all about just putting it out there. Where do I want to be? What do I want to do? Yeah, book sounds great. Speaker, yes, we've spoken. I've done that before.
Right.
That's not, I speak all the time on radio, on lives, everything. That's not the biggest issue. But for me, writing the book was the biggest thing. And people ask, so how did you do it? It's like the only way I could, through Scribe Media, because they helped me. Because if it wasn't for them, it would never have happened.
Yeah.
And I did my first author hour yesterday with the podcast that with them, and that they did a podcast on it. And it was like, the guy was like, I was reading your book. It's so easy to read. It's so this, it's, and he goes, he talked about the first, and I'm not trying to bring it. I'm just bringing an example, right? I'm not trying to push myself. I don't, you know how we hate talking about ourselves.
No. When is it again? February 14th. What? I can't remember. What's happening on Valentine's Day?
You better be getting something for somebody, or not. If you have a significant other, it's just about her, it's just putting it out there. What do you want? Right. And that's why I was asked now to speak at a conference, and my thing's going to be on authority, being the authority in your industry. How do you do that? How do you make that change? But again, I'm going to put one caveat out there. Be careful, because you might get it and then you have other issues. Well, be careful what you ask for. You might actually get it.
That's the funny thing. I was watching something the other day again, and they were talking about it's by design that everything doesn't happen as fast as you think it, because we think a lot of things that we're not really prepared for. And that's interesting part about visualization is you have to sit down and break it down. And you and I were talking, and I sent you some picture of this. Janine Driver sent me, letters to the universe. And the whole thing is every day you do a visualization exercise, and then you actually handwrite out a letter, and you're supposed to write out several things. So what was in it is, what do I want? Why do I want it? What can I do now to start cultivating it in the present? What am I willing to stop doing or let go of for it to happen? What are my limiting beliefs? What would I rather believe instead? What will my life feel like when I have what I want? What are 4 or 5 reasons why I should get it? What are some signs that I'm on the way? And then what am I thankful for in advance? And then you write a letter out literally to the universe. And it's a really cool book, but it's exactly all the things you're talking about, because you have to think through not just, okay, I want a new car. Okay, what kind of car? What do you want in the car? It's funny, the more specific you get, it seems that the faster and more likely it is, versus like they give the example, since you started this off with health and everything. If you just say, I want to lose weight, that's not specific enough. You have to get more specific of, I want to weigh X amount, or, whatever your goal is. I want to lose 15% body fat, whatever the goal is. The more specific, the more you can hold yourself accountable.
Yeah, and it's the same thing we talked about last time with the letters, that the different things that my wife and I wrote for the person we wanted to spend the rest of our life with. We wrote it out, and that's what we put. You have to put what you want, not what you don't want, right? Yep. Focus on the positives, and that's all we're talking about, is whatever you put in that. And it's weird because I stopped getting I don't know if I said this last time, but I stopped getting the paper years ago, not because it became nothing to the paper, because no one advertises in it anymore, but one thing about the paper, it used to come on your doorstep, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would step over it because nothing in there I can change, but everything in there could change me.
Right.
Right. And that's the same thing with news and other things. I only watch business news because that's what really controls what I do and what I talk about in my industry. But the other stuff, I don't want to know about all the murders that has happened in other towns or that. And this is not negative. This is just, I can't do anything about it. I'm not doing it. I can't fix it. That's not for me to have in my head. My wife wants to show me these things on her phone because she's a nurse, and she's like, check this out. And it's like, I don't want to see that, because I can't get that negative thing out of my head, and it will stay there. You follow me?
Right. Yep. Sorry, my do not disturb isn't working, so I'm trying to re-engage it here.
That's okay. Right. But things that, because for me, I can look at something and see it 10 years later still in my head. I can still see my hand inside of this lady's leg in physical therapy, where I was packing her wound because she ripped open her sutures after she had her thyroid thing taken. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Her a node taken out of her leg, and it was huge. So one thing I remember about it, I could see every level of skin. So when I was going to school, and you'd see in the books the different things of skin, I could actually see that now. So
I'm not laughing at that part. You just may want to start the story off a little bit differently, because when you start off with, I remember the time I had my hand in the lady's leg, I did not know where you were going to go with that. So you might want to say, when I was in physical therapy.
I did say I was in physical therapy. You were too busy.
You talked about your hand being there, so it went a little creepy.
No, yeah, well, whatever. Yeah, what are you going to do? But I'm just saying, that's unfortunately what I have to work with. that I have to be careful. It helps me in other things. Like I can remember looking at a page of a document. It helped me in the past when I walked by one of our loan officers, computer screens, and they shut it down real quick so I couldn't see what they were doing, but they didn't realize that I already saw it. I don't care how fast you are, and I can tell you exactly what was on there. Didn't care one way or another if you're rewriting your resume. Don't really care. That's your job, your life, whatever you want to do. I have no control over you. I only have control over me.
Right.
And that's the thing about relationships. You can't change anybody. You can only change yourself.
Agreed. Going back to the newspaper thing, I gave up watching the news. And every once in a while when traveling, I'll turn it on in the hotel room. And I remember why I don't watch it on a regular basis. It's like, holy crap, the negativity and everything that's in there. I'm not surprised that some people are afraid to leave their homes, and just for fear of getting shot, killed, catching something, you name it. It's just not a very positive environment to be around at all.
So you're a wuss, is what you're saying.
I just like you choose not to have it in my life.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, because I got in trouble because I made a statement yesterday to somebody that I asked this one wholesale lender if they could do certain things. And they said, oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Where everybody else I talked to said no. Yeah. And then I said to them, if this goes wrong, because I tell my people I can do it, we're not going to use you anymore. And that was a threat. That wasn't a threat. That was a statement. If you hurt me, I'm going to basically tell you that I'm going to give it right back to you. Right. I didn't say I was going to come down there and beat you up in your office. That's a threat.
Right.
People.
Again, yeah. You gotta it's unbelievable what people, and that's one of the problems, right, with email and text versus a conversation or anything else, is people can read into it what their mental thought pattern is versus what it was when you intended to send it.
Right. Or the moment that they're reading it, that's how they feel about something else. And, because that's why I prefer conversations. So many times we go, can you text me? It's like, this conversation needs to be voiced because I need to hear the tones and inflections in your voice so I can understand if you're understanding what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's why sometimes I'll send a video text or a voice text. The hardest thing with voice text is just the fact that unless somebody keeps it, it gets deleted fairly quick. But
so after they read it, it's gone or listen to it.
30 seconds. Yeah. 30 seconds or 2 minutes or whatever.
Can you change that from going away?
You can hit keep. Whoever listens to it can press a button to keep it afterwards. But I know that's why some people use Voxer, because that doesn't go away and people can hear what you're saying instead of the quick voice text that if they don't remember to save it, it's gone.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I just, found out, with the iPhone, if you hit that speaker, the microphone, man, it just catches everything pretty well. The worst part is when I, in the car, I can't do that for some reason. That one doesn't work well. That's why I call everybody when I'm driving. And of course, I apologize first.
Yeah. Do you have it plugged in like to your dash, like your car itself, or no?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I found is I can't do it. So I have to unplug it from the car and then I can do it just fine. But something about CarPlay doesn't seem to work with that. And I found the same thing with FaceTime. If I try and do FaceTime, it doesn't like to be plugged into CarPlay and do it on the overhead speaker. So I have to unplug it and just throw my AirPods in.
Yeah. Well, I drive. So if I wear AirPods, they get pulled over.
If you wear AirPods in your ear, you can't.
You can only have you're not supposed to have headphones on in your car.
Really? Okay. So I remember
that's us in California. I have no idea in your area.
I've been all over the US with my old job, but it used to drive me nuts because people would still drive with their phone like this, blocking half their view. And I'm like, why are you still doing that? But I hadn't heard about the AirPods because I just throw them in. Usually I can't find anything on the radio, so I'll listen to a podcast with my AirPods in if I'm in a rental car.
Just check, because I know I always if I do it, I have one in, not two in. So
yeah.
Because just like riding bikes, whatever, you're not supposed to have headphones in while you're riding, so you can hear the cars and everything else.
Yeah, on the left, yeah. Well, there was several years ago.
We're getting kind of off topic here.
Yeah. Well, there's a former railroad track here that's called the Katy Trail, and they actually have that in now of telling people you need to only have one in because some girl had hers in full blast and she wasn't paying attention. The biker was going by fairly quick, and she stepped out in front of him and he plowed into her, and unfortunately she died. So they did two things. One is, you're not supposed to have both AirPods in. If so, keep it low. And then number 2 is no more than 20 miles per hour on the trail. And they actually have bicycle officers. And I don't know if they have radar guns or if they just kind of judge the speed you're going, but that's what happened a few years ago.
Yeah. Well, we can't even get enough police officers, so we don't have those people on the trail. We're not Texas.
Well, that's because
okay.
all your people from there moved to Texas. That's
not enough of them. We need more of them. We need more people to leave California so that we can sell their houses because we don't have enough homes. And that's what I was explaining to people over the last few years when we had 750,000 people leave California. That's the only reason we were able to sell homes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if they wouldn't have left, nobody would have bought their house wouldn't have been for sale.
Yeah, no inventory, right?
Yep.
Well, that's somebody was telling me another company's moving to north of Dallas right now is the hot spot area, Frisco, Plano, all that kind of stuff. And more companies are building Universal Studios out there. There's been talk about another airport. There's been talking about a second football team. And it's fine as long as you live and work in that area. Like you can get some amazing houses, but I only have to go, if I go to my ex's house, it's 14 miles to go either pick up my daughter or drop her off. But that can either take me 15 minutes and no traffic or 50 minutes with traffic. And those people live twice as far as that. So I know people who are spending 2 hours a day driving in their car. And that's my number one question. It's like, hey, are you using the time wisely? Like, are you listening to podcasts? Are you visualizing? Are you doing all these things? And I'm amazed how many people are like, no, I just listen to sports radio, or no, I just listen to the radio. I'm like, you got 2 hours in your car. Why not use it for improvement? But that's how I'm wired.
Or get a better job.
Yeah.
They don't have to drive that. Because I was talking to a guy yesterday in Turlock from your area and same place, close to Frisco. And he was talking about, because he was like, well, my wife was asking about outside of Dallas to live and that kind of stuff. And he's like, she goes, well, 35 minutes. She goes, well, that's only suburbs because the traffic and everything else. Well, California's worse. I mean, most people commute over to the Bay Area. And if you're going to spend that much time, you should use that time wisely.
Yeah.
And like you said, listen to books, listen to anything that'll help you grow over time is what you should be doing during that period of time. I don't want to tell you what to do, but I use it always for, when I'm even in the ice baths, I'm listening to a podcast. If I'm in something else, I'm listening to a podcast. I'm listening to so many different things during that period of time. One, because it takes my mind off of what I'm doing, and two, because it betters you. And that's what you need to do with this visualization. You need to figure out where you want to be in life. I don't care how old you are, what you want to do. Some people, if you're 20, figure out what you need to do to get to retirement early, because you don't want to spend, we have so much out there right now that we didn't have in our 20s, that can help everybody now.
It's insane. That's why I've always struggled with, if you tell people I hired a personal trainer, they'll applaud you. You tell people you hired a nutritionist, they'll applaud you. If you talk about any other type of self-improvement, the number one question I used to get asked is work paying for it, and why? It's strange to me. Of life, I would think, should always be about constant improvement, but not everybody's wired that way. Unless it's going to get them to the next promotion in their job, most people won't pursue it.
Right. And it should have nothing to do with that. It's about you, because you're only going to, for most people, they're only going to be at their job 5 years. They'll change jobs every 5 years. Probably going to be cut down to that in the next few years. If they even, I just still want to know, where are these 89 million people who quit their job over the last 3 years? What are they doing? Are they that busy as an influencer that they don't need to work?
I think, I can tell you where a lot of it comes in. I've been talking to somebody. I had a friend who, she was working for a pharmaceutical company, but she was helping do events all around the world. She quit, and she's been doing Uber and side jobs. And because she said she just wasn't happy doing it. And I talk to my Uber drivers everywhere I go. I ask them, hey, like, how long have you been doing it? And then tell me a fun story. And a lot of people are just like, I wasn't happy in my job anymore. I can make $50 an hour doing this. It's on my time schedule. So I think people have found more remote jobs. But what the big miscommunication, I know we're way off of the visualization, but when there was the Great Resignation, like, oh yeah, we added back 700,000 jobs, but they're only part-time jobs, not full-time jobs. And that's a big difference in, companies not having to pay benefits and everything else. But I know a ton of people who have either quit their job, they just said, I don't want to commute, or the worst part is, there's a lot of people who have retired in place, and they literally show up for a paycheck, but they're not mentally there anymore.
Well, there's a lot of those. I mean,
Yeah.
and if you look at, there's a lot of people, 35% of people who could retire are not retiring because of where we are and that's totally different podcast and a totally different thing I do. But you're right. It's the gig economy, even though we're talking about visualization, maybe that's what they can do while, that's what they wanted to do. They've visualized a different job, a different whatever. It does allow
Yeah.
them to do it. I ran into so many people who are Uber drivers. I just didn't know you needed that many Uber drivers.
We do here. It's becoming more and more. As a matter of fact, it's strange. I was in Scottsdale. I don't know why my computer's freezing up, but when I was in Scottsdale, it's hard to get an Uber. Yeah. No, I was playing with the camera over the side because I feel like I always look yellow, like I'm a Simpsons character. But
It's your lighting.
yeah, well, that's what I was playing with earlier too. But I'll fix that. I ordered
Do
some
it
new
off
stuff
air.
too. Yeah. But in Phoenix, you have to order your Uber pretty far in advance. In Dallas, they're always like 2 to 3 minutes away, at least in downtown Dallas. Now, the farther out you go, the harder it is. But here in the area, I can always get an Uber within 2 to 10 minutes. No questions asked, whatever. And when I was in Scottsdale, which is a booming part of Phoenix, it was at least a 10 to 15 minute wait. And they said that's because a lot of people that live out there right now are people who have come from other areas, they're more snowbirds, and they just don't feel like driving.
So they need more. So they actually need more, is what you're saying.
They need way more. Yeah.
All right, enough. So we got some visualization all the way to Uber driving.
Yes.
And where to go to get a job. But basically, today was all about, I love saying that word, basically. Today was really to refocus on last week, how important it is to visualize where you want to go, what you want to do in life, and you really need to do it. And we had case studies that showed that doctors actually did studies on this, and it works.
Mm-hmm.
And especially for people who want to change their life. And again, I also said that I heard some stuff about people killing off who they are today and remaking who they are, because you got to be a totally different person. Yeah. And I've heard this from people in AA and other things, that they have to change completely, get new friends, get that. And that's no difference in sales. If you want to better yourself, maybe you get into a better environment around who want to support you, who don't want to tear you down.
I laugh. Every year I come up with a new phrase. So last year it was take the stage, right? Because I want to get on more stages, get talk, see more people.
Always about you.
And this year it was get in the room. So it's literally what you just said became the phrase that I changed on my vision thing over here, was get in the room, because there's more benefit of being around other people who are more successful than it is you being the most successful. And that's it. Going back to the workout analogy, if people just said, I'm going to work out, no, people go to classes and courses because they know what's my workouts for the week, because that helps them achieve it. And that was one of the things, that's why all these gyms and courses and everything will literally post what that workout is, so people know how to get to where they want to go, instead of just saying, get in shape this week. Oh no, I'm going to go this class, I'm going to go that class, I'm going to go this class, because they saw the workout. But it's funny, people won't put that same effort into their own life.
Well, they need to make the changes, and they need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically why we're doing this. We're just trying to help you become better in sales and do better, because we keep hearing the same thing we've been saying for the past 6 months or a year, that all of us were very lucky in the last few years. The low-lying fruit was very easy to take, and now you actually have to work for sales. And that's what we're here to help you do that, because it is much more harder. Plus, it's going to be harder going forward. It's amazing how much coaching I'm seeing pop up for the mortgage industry to coach people on how to do stuff, when in reality, it's just do the basics and do it, and you'll be fine. Because you're going to get this coaching, you won't do it. And
right.
Until you're ready to change, and you need to be able to make that change who you are, create a new persona of who you are. And that's how you do it.
Yep.
Right. Did I say anything right?
Oh, you said most of it right. And you've said visualization multiple times the right way. So look, little steady progress.
Hey, I'm a redneck. What do you want?
I know you're wearing camo.
No, that's just because that was a sweatshirt that I had to put on because I was freezing. And I did turn it up in here. So
there you go.
Anyway. All right. You know what? Thanks for watching. We really appreciate you coming in and out. We watch, whether you watch the whole thing. Our goal is to help you in sales. That's why we started this. And we're going to continue going forward every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. Who we have coming on this week?
Pacific
Do you know?
time.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
We always
The
have
most
to add that. You
important
talk about
time.
me always thinking about just myself. You want to put things in your time zone. So yeah. 10 o'clock Pacific. So for the rest of us, are all around the U.S. You can do your own math from there.
Yeah, Central 12.
Yep.
East Coast 1. Yeah, I can help you out there.
There you go. See?
Yeah. All right. So do you know who we're having on Thursday?
No, Joe couldn't do it. So I think I'm going to reach out to Robbie and see if he can do it.
All right. Well, thanks for telling everybody ahead of time that you don't know who it is.
I didn't say his
All right.
last name.
All right, everybody, make it a great day. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate you. Brian, thanks for being here.
Yep. Good seeing you, Ed.
All right. Don't run away.